Okay.
So if you all want to mute your microphones and follow along, I will open it up for questions. If you have an urgent question you want to ask me, don't feel bad about jumping into the chat and asking your question. I did post in the chat, if you can find it, a welcome and ask if you could give me your name, your department, and your level of experience with Techsmith products. And this is my sneaky way of taking attendance for the webinar and also finding out if we got any experts in the virtual room here. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the agenda here. We're going to introduce ourselves, share some bad news and good news, and being a communications expert, is it better to start with the bad news or the good news? You got to unmute your microphone. Welcome, Sam. So if you want to talk, just unmute your microphone and say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sam.
Kimber.
Or was that Kimber?
Kimber.
Okay. Welcome, Kimber. This is Gary. So we were doing introductions. As I mentioned, jump into the chat, share your name, your department, and why you're here. And if you want to throw in, if you're a Techsmith expert, it'd be good to know that. Or if it's your first time hearing about it. So after the bad news and good news, we're going to take a quick tour of the products. This is not a tutorial on how to use each one. It's more, why would we use them? Why would we pick one over the other? And kind of the direction that GRCC is heading. And that is, from my perspective as a faculty member, knowing a little bit that I know. Hi, welcome, Linda. So then we'll also just take a quick look at the mobile products, because I know a lot of your students are viewing video on mobile devices, and we even at times are authoring some of our video content on mobile devices. And then we'll jump into support in upcoming webinars. So here's the bad news, and I'm going to minimize it so you can get a good look at the bad news, although I'm guessing you all have read this already. This is from an email back in August. As of January 1, 2019, Techsmith Relay Recorder and the Relay Server, which is at relay.grcc.edu, will no longer be available, as their parent company, Techsmith, has discontinued both products. And if you've uploaded videos to RadarCast using the Techsmith recorder in the past, you're still going to have access to those videos. You can still upload until the end of the year to those videos, but IT is strongly suggesting that you begin uploading your videos somewhere else, because that option, or RadarCast option, is going to go away at the end of the year. And the video captioning process stays the same. So I will give you an opportunity as you're typing in here. If you want to unmute your microphone and jump in and give me your reactions to that news, or maybe questions about that news, I'd love to hear from you.
I guess it's a good push for me to start using Camtasia. I've used Relay quite a bit over the years, so I'll have to figure out how to get those loaded up. But it's a good push for me to learn Camtasia now. So.
Yep, and the Camtasia that we're going to look at has a lot more power and editing features, but you can still actually do the same thing you do with Relay, and that is just start a recording, stop it, publish it. It's pretty much the same process if you don't want to do much editing. The big difference is that it's going to process that file locally and then upload it, versus, as you know from using Relay, it would upload it instantly and then do all the processing on the server end.
Right, so it took a while.
Yeah, so it took a while, but it actually, in a way, feels faster right now, because you could do a lecture capture in your room, log off the computer, and then get an email when it was ready, versus using Camtasia, the full editor. You actually have to wait until the video has processed and then upload it.
Okay.
So, but we'll talk a little bit more about that one.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any questions or thoughts about that? Because there's good news coming. All right. So here's the good news. The good news is the triple breakfast sandwich is coming to McDonald's on November 1st. No, that's not it. Maybe you think it's good news, but actually here's the good news. And I think there might be an icon for applause if you guys want to throw that into the chat. So anyway, the good news is that we have free, fully licensed versions of Camtasia and Snagit. And as we were mentioning, we'll go in more detail about these products, but the Camtasia is going to replace Relay, but also giving us a lot more editing power. I think most of you who are online right now have used Relay for a while, so you know that Relay only edits the start and the end of your video, versus Camtasia can do a lot more in terms of editing the whole video and also add a lot more effects and transitions. It has quizzing and some other things we'll take a look at. And Snagit is a product we haven't had, but Snagit will give us the potential to do short tutorial videos and capture images and even annotate images. So we haven't had that ability before. And now, I have to be careful about what I say because this isn't public, but I snuck this good news on the slide. We are going to have a new version of Techsmith Relay that we're going to pilot probably next semester with a small group as part of one of our college action plans. And so what's different about the pilot versus what we're doing right now? Techsmith, as the announcement said, is moving away from the local recorder where you upload to GRCC server, the RaiderCast server, to a web-based recorder that the video gets hosted in the cloud. And so it is actually going to be easier, if Relay could be easier, and it's also going to have a lot more functionality built into it in terms of the ability to quiz Relay video, to track, to do some analytics. So there really is a lot more coming, but you are the first because you decided to check into the webinar to learn about the pilot that's coming up.
Are we allowed to sign up for the pilot, or do you already have your group?
So, that would be a bummer, right? Like,
yeah,
you're the first to hear about it, but it's too late already.
Oh,
so,
really? Okay. Oh, well.
If you are interested in being part of that pilot, email me.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm not in charge of it, but I know the folks who are, and probably the biggest thing is there's a limited number of seats in the pilot, so it can't be everybody on campus. And I think the way it's going to be deployed, your students in your class also count against the license, so we probably won't be able to do a lot of classes and a lot of people in the pilot, but enough to test it out before we decide where we're going to move with it next. So if you're interested, go ahead and shoot me an email. Just say, I'm interested in the Techsmith Relay pilot. Any questions about that? All right. So we've got all these different products from Techsmith. They got a robust offering. And I like to usually start out with talking about why we would pick one over the other. So if you've been using Relay, you know that it's primarily a lecture capture tool. And by that I mean you push start, you record whatever you're going to do on your screen and the audio and even your webcam. You push stop and then you publish it kind of as is. So that works well for just starting video in your classroom and recording it and then posting it later. As we said, Camtasia is kind of Relay with an editor that can do a lot more. So it does do the things that Relay does in terms of capturing whatever's on your screen, the audio, a webcam, but it also allows you to do a lot more in terms of editing the video in the middle, on the ends, adding transitions, adding special effects, and we won't go through how to do all those things, but I'll give you some examples of that. And then the Snagit product is a much smaller application that sits on your computer, and you can use that to grab screenshots. You can import images into it. You can also do video with it too. So all three of these products will do video. I tend to do Snagit if I were giving like a short student feedback or a short tutorial, and then Camtasia if I want to do a longer video with some more robust things in it, such as a quizzing function. So any questions about kind of the difference between the three before I launch into each one of them? All right, so I'll start by going to the Relay page here. And well, actually, let's go back to the products page. So Snagit, Camtasia, and Relay currently are all available to GRC faculty and staff, and you can get them through the Software Center if you're on a GRCC PC, or you can contact the help desk if you're like me and you're on a Mac, and they can be installed. It may be a little known fact, but you can also install these on your home computer. So I know that a lot of you do a lot of things online or in Blackboard and may not have access to your desktop if you have a desktop instead of a laptop. So you can install it at home. That one can be a little trickier. I leave that up to the help desk. I know that it's more straightforward if you have a laptop because you can work with IT here to get that installed on your laptop. You can basically bring them the laptop. The desktop at home is a little different, but contact IT if you have a question about installing those applications. So on this page, it kind of talks about the difference between them. And, you know, I would summarize them by saying, if you're looking at just doing images, I use Snagit, or short tutorials, I use Snagit. Camtasia is when I want to produce something that's more involved. And then Relay down here at the bottom, let's just go in here and learn more. So the reason that I'm showing you this before I show you the Relay that we have is that this is the Relay that we're going to pilot. And so just as you see on the screen here, there's going to be a web-based recorder that replaces the client that we currently have now. So, if you think about that, this means that necessity to download the Relay recorder and only being able to do the recording on the computer that has it installed, now we can actually access that web recorder from anywhere that we can log into Techsmith from. So that's a nice feature. We actually can install it on computers and use it on computers that we don't have administrative rights to. So I know that's an issue for me. My laptop's pretty locked down. It also has integration with Blackboard, which again is on the good news side. I know some of you may remember that we used to have a mashup tool that would pull our Relay videos right into Blackboard. And then that went away as we upgraded our version of Relay. And now we will have a way to do that again. So I can't show you that actually happening. If you go to the website, there is a page and some videos on how that integration works. The video that's produced is accessible, which is good news, and the captioning is a little different process. I tell most people who ask me about captioning a video that regardless of which of these tools you use, the best way to get your video captioned is to fill out the caption request form, and that's at grcc.edu/caption. So some of the features that you see on the page have not been available for Relay in the past. They were if you knew how to use the Camtasia product, but when Relay is web-based, we have the ability to add in quizzing, to integrate it with Blackboard, to track some analytics behind the scenes, such as who watched the video, how long did they watch the video, those type of things. So if you want more information about the Relay that's going to be in the pilot, that's the page to go to, and I have a link to that in the slides, which I can share with you after the webinar. So I'll jump back into the slides for a minute here. Another thing I wanted to mention is that there are mobile apps that you can use, and then take the mobile video that you create and put it into one of these other platforms. So some of you may have heard of Fuse, which has been Techsmith's kind of mobile recording app that's been available on iOS and Android for years now. But they also have newer applications called Capture and Motion. And again, if you click on the link to mobile apps or go to Techsmith's website and look for their mobile apps, Capture is a way of capturing what you do on your iOS device. So it's like screen capture on your computer except for iOS. So to date, what you could do is grab an image or video off of your phone. Now you can actually do a tutorial that captures what you're doing on your phone. So that's kind of a nice feature. And then Motion, I played around with it a little bit. Basically, it adds some special effects to the video and images that you have on your phone. So I'm going to jump in, unless there's some questions, I'm going to jump into Relay as it exists now and just show you, if you're not familiar with the product, just how you log in, and this will help you kind of see how it differs from Camtasia and Snagit. So you log into Relay with the username and password that you use to log on to the network with. And when you do, you should be able to see your audio input here. And across the top, this is features that have been added to Relay and will be available in the pilot version of Relay. The ability to upload existing videos, to pick your audio, to also have a webcam if you want to. And so until the end of the year, you select the RaiderCast profile, put in your title and description, and click record. And that basically is all you need to do. I won't go through recording. Then there'll be a stop button, and then you publish that. And if you want to do any editing on the front or back end, you can do that. So like I said, the key thing about this is that it instantly sends the whole file to the server. So it only takes the time to upload the file. Camtasia, on the other hand, will do all the editing and processing locally, and then you'll upload it to your computer, which is something to think about because you need to allot time for that processing to happen. So if you're on a laptop, that's pretty easy because you can carry it wherever and then continue processing and then upload it. Camtasia, the full product, doesn't work very well in the classroom setting unless you can hang around and after class and do the processing and uploading. Does that make sense? If you've got a question about any of this, you can just throw it in the chat if you want to. So that's Relay, pretty straightforward, easy recorder. It's going to be even easier, I think, in the cloud version of Relay. So the next one is Camtasia, and I was doing a little recording here. So I did a short tutorial with the Lightboard that we have on campus. And basically what I'm able to do with Camtasia, one of the things I'm able to do besides just doing a direct capture of whatever I do on my computer and the audio and the webcam, is I can import a video I've already done into Camtasia. So I imported the file, and that was real easy. I just went up and did file import. And then once I had the video, I just did a click and drag down to my timeline down here, separated my audio from my video, and then that's pretty much all you would need to do, just like in Relay, and publish it. Now, here's where one of the big differences comes in. There's actually more publishing options when you get into Camtasia. So if I had this video and I wanted to publish it, when I click on share, these are some of the options that I've set up. I can post my video to Techsmith's website, screencast.com. I can publish it to my YouTube channel. So everybody who has a GRCC email has a YouTube channel. Your Google Drive, which you have, or to Relay for now. If you're part of the pilot, then you should be able to publish from Camtasia to the Relay server. So those are some options for you. With the Relay setup that we currently have, you're basically publishing it just to RaiderCast or captioning it first and then publishing to RaiderCast. So a lot more flexibility here. Now, if you recall from the announcement, they did say that the requirements for captioning remain the same. So if you are going to publish it to your YouTube channel and you're going to use it in your course, then under the policy, you still need to have it captioned. And Now, if it's something you're going to keep using in the course, fill out a caption form and get it captioned. If it's a short video that you're going to use feedback for an individual student, you're not going to reuse it, then you don't need to do a caption request form before it goes out there. Basically, I tell faculty if it's any type of content they plan to use for everybody in their Blackboard course, then that's something they're going to want to get captioned. Now, there is a ability in Camtasia to do the captioning locally. So if you've ever used the captioning tool in Relay, it's not 100% accurate. So there are some things you're going to have to edit if you do it that way, but you've got more control, I guess, if you've got terms that maybe not everybody understands. But it does take a lot of time if you've ever used Relay or Camtasia to edit the captioning. There are plenty of other features, and I would reserve those for like an hour of instruction just on this specific tool, but I'll show you some of them. I mean, really, it allows you to add some things to your video that you don't necessarily know how to do. So, for example, transitions. If you wanted to add a fade, see, I can look on these effects and kind of get an idea of what the effect looks like. And then I can just drag that effect down to my timeline and then determine the amount of fade I want. And then if I want to preview that video, I have the lettering over there. That's what it looks like. So I don't really have to understand the technology behind it, but if the video I recorded was a little clunky at the start, I was doing something in the video that I don't necessarily want to edit out, but I want to transition or something, I can add those type of things to the video. I also, you can see down here at the bottom, have a little placeholder for a quiz. So you actually can add interactivity to your video. So if I click on interactivity over here, it says add quiz to timeline, and that's what I did. And if I go over here to the right side and I jump to my quiz, I can see that I've added a quiz question. This guy is boring, true or false. The correct answer is true. And then when I publish that video, then that will be a assessment that appears at a point in the video. So it's kind of a cool tool. And the cloud-based version of Relay will also allow you to do those types of assessments in. And I believe you can set them up to actually record the results to the grade book. I haven't done that piece yet, but I know that the potential is out there to do that. I know that's a question that sometime comes up. So there's so many things you can do. Once you got the file together, you can publish it to all those different destinations. Another one that comes up every so often is, can I do anything with this audio file down here? So if I had a type of video like a podcast or something, I want to separate it out as an audio file. It's not really that important that they see me the whole time talking. Some faculty have asked for an audio file version of it. You can actually, in Camtasia, share the audio only version of it. And then when you do that, you can then grab that file and put it in Blackboard. So I was actually earlier just playing around with this. I have an audio file from that Lightboard presentation, and I went up and I exported it as an MP3 file, and then I went into Blackboard. I'll just jump in there real quick. And it's really not all that complicated if I just jump into a content area here and add an item. I'll just call it Lightboard. Then in my text editor, there is a Insert Embedded Media button. And if you click on that, and I'll browse and find my file right here. I'm going to grab the MP3 file. Whoops. I wanted embedded audio.
For this presentation, I have this.
All right. So you can insert that MP3 file right in the page. So that's kind of a nice thing if you want. You also do this with the MP4 file if you want to. But like I said, that integration with Blackboard should be coming as part of the pilot. So as you can see, Camtasia really allows you to publish to a lot of different sources, allows you a lot more editing capacity than Relay did, and allows you to create the file in different formats that you can use for your students. The last tool is Snagit, and I actually have Snagit over here on the side on my Mac. And really it's that simple. If you want to edit an existing file, then you would open the Snagit Editor. Earlier I grabbed a screenshot, and this is what I use to send errors or questions I have to IT with. And so in that editor, even though you didn't create the image in Snagit, you can import these images. There's a lot of different tools you can use here on the side. So if I want to put an arrow and explain to the person exactly what to put in there for a password or different things, you can edit images in Snagit. It's not a super powerful tool. If you're going to do a lot of image editing, I'd suggest an image editor, but in terms of capturing images and making some annotations to them. But there's a variety of different tools up here. You can number steps. You can do some basic editing. You can add shapes, call outs, those type of things to it. If you do want to capture a video, then it will just launch. There's a countdown going over here, and then it will ask you what part of the screen that you want to capture, and then it will prompt you to either do a screen capture of the screen or to do a video of the screen. So it's a pretty simple tool, and I'll jump back into my slides here, and that is Snagit. So before I move on, what questions? Something that you didn't see, questions you have about when you might use one of these? I got some suggestions for you as to how you might use these tools, but any questions? So if anybody is talking, you might have your mic muted. All right, so a little premature in my thank you there. Let's talk a little bit about how you might use the products and pick one over the other. So I think for just straight lecture capture, when you want to do a lecture, I Relay will probably remain the best tool for doing that for the reasons that I mentioned in terms of it's very easy to use, minimal editing, and you can publish fairly quickly. I do tend to advise faculty to kind of stay away from really long lecture captures. I think when we first introduced the Relay product, and I know I'm guilty of this, that lecture capture meant all I just did was lecture and capture everything and put it out there. And students would tell me that it was great because they were in my online class, but they got to see me and hear me talk about the topic. And then I started to notice with my longer videos that students weren't watching them as much, or they had complaints about them being broader and not specific about what they were looking for, and the fact that they were having difficulty hearing students in the room. And so what I ended up doing was continuing to use the Relay tool and to do the capture, and then actually editing the video down to manageable video. And as you know, I would say most of us have difficulty with the video that would go for the length of a full class. So short videos on specific topics replaced my long lecture captures. But still, if you're looking for an easy tool just to capture video, what you do on your screen, your webcam, and publishing easily to your destination, Relay is a good tool. When we have the web-hosted version of this, we'll try this out in the pilot, being able to add quizzing, analytics will, I think, be very helpful. Until then, Camtasia is kind of the solution for that. So maybe I could ask one of you, if you could have the video pause and ask students a question, would that be helpful to you? And what kind of questions do you think you might ask during one of your videos?
I'm thinking it might be useful. Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. Getting feedback on it. I'm thinking it might be useful if students might be critiquing a document in business communication. I could stop and ask them, what are some things that are wrong with this, or how might you change this sentence, or how might you reformat this?
Sure. Yeah, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be like an assessment over what they're learning. It could be an opportunity for them to provide feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right. So Camtasia, I think, is the best tool for that right now. And I think the advantage of Camtasia right now is the ability to publish to different destinations. Now, I do know some questions come up about that in terms of why would you pick one destination over the other. I know that I get some questions about publishing to YouTube because we typically think of that as public and everybody can find the video. You can go into your YouTube channel and change the settings. You can also, in the settings in Camtasia, set your video to be only available to people who have the link, so not public. So that's typically what I do, unless it's a video that is a general purpose type video about my course's content that I don't mind everybody in the public to see. I know some faculty don't want people to see them on video, or they don't want people who are not paying for and enrolled in the class seeing the video. So you can set that to a setting that only allows people who have the link in. And then that's probably the best way to put it into Blackboard, is to take that link and then put that link into Blackboard. So YouTube is a pretty good tool, and they're actually, I won't show it now, but there is a way to go into, log into YouTube and go into the auto captions that are generated when you post a video to YouTube and edit them. You still, as the announcement said, you can still grab the link to the YouTube video and ask Media Technologies to do the captioning. Not entirely sure how they will handle that as we move to newer platforms, but you definitely want to make sure that whatever video that you are putting into your course, that you that it's captioned if it meets the requirements of the policy. Snagit, I think Snagit is a great tool for images. It's really the only tool that can easily do images. Relay is not set up to just do image capture. Camtasia, there are some ways where you can grab images, import images into it, but I would say Snagit is probably the easiest way. So if you are just looking at grabbing images and making notations to them, then that's a good way. Now, in the past, I've mentioned this making notations to the image in Snagit and never really talked much about accessibility. It's kind of always on my mind now as I think about creating content. And so if you do make annotations on an image in Snagit, you're going to want to make sure that that's something that you need to do, and that you have it properly alt text, so that in the alt text, whatever the text or image is portraying, you need to make sure that a screen reader can pick that up. And if you have any questions about that, I can kind of walk you through the steps of doing that too. But again, you can also use Snagit for short tutorials. I'm not aware of a time limit on it. I know some of you might remember that there was an old tool, it's actually still available, called Jing, that was for free. That was like the first Techsmith tool that I ever used, but that had a time limitation on it. So technically you can do long videos with Snagit, but it really is a great tool for just doing short videos that don't need much editing. And then it has publishing options like Camtasia does in it. So I guess I want to turn it over to you now. I've got some suggestions about what we might use video for in the course, because so far it's kind of, these are the three products, these are what they produce, and it's just kind of assumed that we would use video. But what type of things would you use video or images for in your course? So go ahead and unmute your microphones and jump in.
Okay, this is Kimber, and I've never used any of these products, but
Okay.
I'm wondering if would maybe Relay or Snagit, could you use one of these projects, like, for instance, have the students use it with a computer, like we have computers in our room, and then use it to like record something with communication or a little interview or a little scenario, and then have them play it back or play it back for the class and then give feedback on what maybe was done or could be improved or however. whatever you'd want to do. Is that an option or no?
Sure. So, and then someone else can chime in after I give my answer if they have direct experience with doing this. I mean, I could easily have a student just capture video on any device and then import that video into my version of any of these products and then produce them and share them. I could also give them access to my computer, working with them to log into these accounts and publishing it to my account. I know that Techsmith does have the ability for students to do recording in Relay, but that was what I was saying earlier in terms of how that would impact our licensing. So
Okay.
I don't think there would be a problem with like a student, you working with them to either produce a video on their cell phone or their video camera and then getting that to you, or working with them to use your software to record it. But right now, there's not student licenses for these products, and with the pilot, if we gave students access through Blackboard to Relay, then I think that would count against our license.
But you could, so a student could take their phone, like maybe if you had a trio, have one student take their phone, video the other two students interacting with whatever the assignment was or whatever the scenario was that they had to deal with. And then you could somehow, I'd have to learn all this, but you could get it on the desktop that is in the room for the instructor and then show it on a screen and then everybody could look at it and talk about it?
Sure. I think to do that, you're going to want to have them host the video file somewhere. That's probably the easiest way. So a lot of mobile devices have the ability to publish directly to YouTube or some other video hosting service. So basically all you need is the link to, project up on the screen. There's also the ability for them to save whatever they produce into something like Google Drive and then provide you with access to that file, and then you could pull it in and do it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I think this answers a lot of my questions already, because my first question was going to be, can students get a license? And the answer is no. But
well, technically they can, but I don't know if we want to go there.
Right, and I could see how prohibitively expensive it could get. Yeah, I think the other things you're suggesting are all things that I've done too, because for me, I'm thinking about students in online courses doing presentations, and I do allow them to use videos, but I encourage them to post it on YouTube, and then we just download those and take a look at them. So
yeah, I know that a long time ago when I taught communications, I was kind of surprised initially at how little students knew about hosting video and providing a link to me. But it really seems like in the age of posting video and images to Facebook that they've figured out how to capture video and post it online.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we don't have problems with that. I am thinking, though, of students who are on campus. I like the idea of having them record something in Relay on my computer or on a device that I'm using, and then we could all look at it. So I think that could work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have some pretty powerful editing tools right on your computer now with these products, and I don't see why you wouldn't, certainly want to keep control over your computer, but
exactly, yeah.
It wouldn't work with them to use them.
Right, so just have them record it and then look at it. Okay.
Any other thoughts there? Any other ways you might use video? I know that in most conversations about how you use video in campus and online classes, the issue of student-produced video does come up, and I think that's great because we're all producing content. It's not just faculty directed at students. But what would you use these products for?
So this is Linda. Can you hear me?
I can, Linda.
Okay, great. I do a lot of orientations for new students starting the health programs, information sessions for the public about the health programs that the college offers. And so what I have recorded, because there are times when they let me go on vacation, and so I'm not able to be there when it's scheduled. And so I've recorded what I usually say so that they can just play the recording in the orientation or the information session and ask if there's any questions. So I'm kind of looking for ways that I can enhance and do that more so that it's not so focused on the fact that I would have to be present in the room necessarily.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up, Linda, that sometimes we think of video as recording of kind of our expertise in a content area that students can watch on demand, but it really could be an announcement, a message, feedback, an orientation to something. There's certainly a lot more that you can do with it, and like you said, it's a tool that's available for those times where you're going to be at a distance. So you don't have to be confined to physically being in a class. Not that I'm advocating for canceling your classes and just doing videos, but in some cases it's a good option. All right, anything else? Go ahead.
Yeah, Linda again. So I did encourage some of my instructors to participate if possible, and it sounds like they did. I was wondering if there are ways to use these products to, like some of what is taught is a little dry, and especially when you're talking about insurance information or different types of medical codes and so forth, those kinds of things.
Right.
If there are ways that we can use these tools to further engage students, make it a little bit more interesting to learn stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would say insurance isn't exciting, Linda, but let's just say it's not. I think that I'm thinking of a couple of things. One, like I was showing inside of Camtasia, there's transitions, there's audio narration, there's music, there's effects that you can add that will, I think, engage the learner, break things up so it's not just a talking head the whole time. You can do some things to clean up the audio. There's some things you can do in editing, I think, that would help. I also think these tools are good because they don't just confine you to a single video of your head in the screen. They allow you to mix things up by capturing slides, capturing what you're doing on the screen, having you in the corner in a webcam. So I find students are more engaged when they have a combination of those things. They can actually see whatever you're talking about and also see your hand gestures, those type of things. So I think those are ways where you can take the product and spice it up a little bit. But I also think the other thing you can do is you can kind of mash up video. So this isn't just capture you in a monotone voice saying whatever and then producing it. This could be you introducing other video and kind of piecing things together. So it could be you introduce, then you switch to a video of something that you imported into Camtasia, and you go to a screenshot. So I think it could be much more dynamic than just, like I said, a talking head.
And then do instructors use this for if there's like a snow day or something like that, where they would go in and they would record what they were going to teach and tell all the students to, watch that? Is that one of the uses of these tools as well?
Yeah, I know it has been for me. That doesn't always excite my students because they thought they got a break because it was a snow day. But I know that I have jumped online and done a video and put it in the course to say, hey, we're not meeting together today, but here's some things you can do. I haven't typically used it to say, well, the whole college is canceled class, but we're not, we're driving on and you have to watch my video. But I do know that it's a way of keeping in contact with students even when you can't physically be together.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Yes. Thank you.
Yep. All right, we got about 3 minutes left, and I just want to make sure I get this last slide up. You can continue to ask questions if you want to. You can email me directly, gbrand@grcc.edu. In terms of support for any of these products, whether it's getting them installed or technical issues, that type of technical question goes to IT support. If you have a question about how to use them, what to use them for, how do I add a transition to my video, direct those to dlit@grcc.edu, or you can ask me directly. I know that if you contact the help desk and you ask them how to publish your video to these different sources, they'll tell you that that's possible and that DLIT can help train you to do those things. So that's how I've got it split out there. And then I just wanted to mention a couple things. I plan on sending out an email to you all, hopefully with a recording of this session and a survey. But I also wanted to mention the upcoming webinars because you enjoyed this one so much. I want you to have an opportunity to enjoy more. On the DLIT page, if you go to DLIT or grcc.edu/DLIT/upcoming, you'll find a list of our webinars. And our next one coming up here is on Respondus Monitor. But we have on the 14th, we have Blackboard Ally, which is a accessibility tool that's integrated with Blackboard, badges and gamification, and just a host of other webinars. And there's some special events that you can get off the CTE, the Center for Teaching Excellence website also. And we hope to have you come back for more webinars. Any parting comments or questions? Got a whole minute left.
Just thank you. I like Zoom. I've used Zoom for other things, and I really like using it for the webinars. So.
Yeah, I'll just give a plug for that too. Zoom is available. If you wanted to use Zoom, fire off an email me for that too.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing a webinar on Zoom at some point in the future. But if you want an account, there is a free version of Zoom out there. But the college is also piloting Zoom.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. It's 4 o'clock. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me directly or dlit@grcc.edu.
Thanks, Gary.
Yep.